Okay, Rachel, are you ready to go?
Yes.
What are we doing?
I don't know. I thought you knew.
Phil, aren't you supposed to be running the show? Which guest have we got?
Don't make me the boss of stuff.
You're the boss of stuff.
Let's wing it.
And go.
Hi, welcome to the This Is My Voice podcast.
The podcast where we discuss all things voice performance and talk to some of the industry's best and brightest talent.
We're your hosts, Rachel Salas.
And Eddie Bye.
Eddie, guess what?
What?
We have a very special guest today. We have the founder and president of the Australian Association for Voice Actors.
No way.
Yep. How good is that? He's also a voice actor too and won a boatload of awards. His name is Simon Kennedy.
Oh, I know Simon Kennedy. I love that guy.
Well, that's good because he's right here.
G'day, Simon.
G'day, guys. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
I'm bloody fantastic, quite frankly, because I had a cold on the weekend and now I don't. So yeah,
There
It's
you go.
amazing.
Hey, I'm gonna put a pin in that straight away, and we'll talk about that later about how to get over a cold really fast so you can keep voicing.
Yeah.
or how to use that cold to
It's hard for pickups.
sound cool.
Yeah. Well, if you channel a sick voiceover, low tone, you're always good to get our work.
That's it. Just tell them that's my sound.
Yeah. So how did you get started as a voice performer and how did you get to the stage of creating the Australian Association for Voice Artists?
Well, there's 25 years between those two things. So I wanted to get into radio. So I went to the Australian Film, Television and Radio School.
Afters, yeah.
Afters, after a bit of a stint in community radio. And I loved radio. I loved the comedy performers on radio, and I wanted to be one. I went to radio school, and I had no idea how hard it was to get in, but there I was, and I got my first job in radio in the country, in Moree, northwest New South Wales, and from there it started my love of the microphone.
How long were you in radio for?
Well, I was in and out of radio for a while. I did 2 years in the country and realised it was really hard to get out of the country, and I was a city boy. So I quit that job. I had an award, a radio award. I think they were called RAWards.
They were. RAWard.
Something back then. RAWard, which I could never work out how to say it. But I got one for doing a comedy sketch because that was what I liked, and I thought I'd try and take that back with me and knock on some doors. And, look, I got some jobs here and there. I was panel operating at 2GB, the talk radio station. Panel operating was the worst. I'm very bad at it. Made a lot of mistakes, but luckily back then no one listened to 2GB. And so I floated around, and while I was trying to find a decent radio job, which never came, I started doing stand-up comedy and mucking around with microphones in another way.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but I have been in and out of radio for years, and I ended up in 2001 joining Nova 96.9 as they launched, and that was the start of a 7-year gig.
So what did you do there? I didn't know that.
Yeah, I was my official title, they even gave me business cards. I was the group creative writer for branding. So basically writing imaging. I was writing a lot of comedy sketch-based imaging. So when Nova launched, it didn't sound like the other stations, which is why I think it said sounds different was the slogan. And we tried to make it sound really different. So instead of just doing the zip, zap, zap, we play all the hits all the time. They let me just make up funny stuff, and we put funny stuff in between the songs. Like we're talking like 20-second, 30-second skits that were topical. And and that was the brand of the station for quite a while. And that, it spread to some of the other markets for a bit. Nowadays Nova sounds kind of like a traditional, kind of hot AC sort of station. But yeah, that was a fun job, and I was on air as well doing a show.
Bloody amazing! I had no idea. There you go. I've been at Nova for 17 years. I wanted to get in right from the start, but they wouldn't have me because I was too straight, too conventional. They're like, we don't want radio people at Nova, and I'm like, but I want to work there. And
I want to go.
It took me about 4 or 5 years to actually get in, and then I've never left. You can't leave. So there you go.
You're one of their best hires there, Eddie.
Thank you, mate. Thank you. I do appreciate that.
See, persistence pays off.
It does.
Yeah, just keep knocking on that door, and eventually you wear them down. I mean, that's why my wife married me.
Well, it worked for me and my husband, so except it was the other way around, so I was annoying. So eventually he went, yeah, all right, you're sticking around, you make me laugh.
You give him no options, that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly. What is the Australian Association for Voice Artists, and what do you do as the president?
Well, so the Australian Association of Voice Actors, AVA as we call it, I actually launched it early last year, and it's a place to educate, to support, to connect for voice actors who, basically want to be part of a community that supports them, and that's what we did. I launched it with the initial view that Australian voice actors needed to be on the front foot with AI technology starting to undermine what we do, and then realised that it was more than that. And we've got a really great community of hundreds of voice actors around the country, even a few overseas who some lonely Aussies living in different parts of the world who want to be part of it. So half of them are union members, but half of them aren't, and that's good. I think it's exciting that people want to be part of a collective, and so we try our best to do what we can. Put on webinars to educate, but a lot of lobbying the government for a better future for people who use their voices.
Back when I started, it was probably a little after you, well and truly after when you started, I felt like, the voiceover industry was really competitive back in the 90s and early 2000s, everyone sort of looked over their shoulder, and it was, I sound like that guy and he's getting more work than me, and there was a lot of that going on. And I feel like what the AVA has done is actually brought everybody together again. Well, brought everyone together, and we're all fighting the fight together rather than we're fighting each other for every job, because I think, as like the jobs, there's not as many jobs as there used to be, and that should make us all sort of scrabble a bit harder. But what it's actually done, and I guess thanks to you, is it's actually brought all of us artists together so that, we have one united voice. I know that's a bit of a cliche there, but, to make sure that we continue to get the work that, we should be getting and that we deserve. Don't you think?
Yeah, look, and I've got a theory which it took me years to get to. It's not a theory, it's more of an ethos that is in the creative arts. As a performer, whether it be an actor or a voice actor or whatever, when someone gets a job that you wanted, a lot of the time people would go, "Oh, that was my job," that was my job. And I learned over the years that it's not your job if you don't get it. It's someone else's job, and you got to wish everyone well. And that sounds all very altruistic and how very Christian of me or whatever. But it actually is. It's true. It's like it's not your job if you haven't got it. It's a job that the right person will get. And if you're not the right person, then be okay with that, because even if people do sound similar, like I've had people say, "Oh, you sound a bit like this guy or that guy," and if I hear that guy on an ad, I'm like, "Yeah, the voice quality is similar, the timbre is similar, but his performance that's not the performance I would have given because he's got a different heart and soul to me." And so even if you sound like someone, it doesn't mean that you're the same voice artist as them, because it's not just about our voice, it's about us. And like I say, if you don't get the job, it was not your job to get.
Yeah, and I probably 10, 15 years ago, I got quite a significant job that lasted for about a year and a half, a big furniture chain. And I remember I was making stacks of money. Sometimes I was making 12 grand in a session because they had so many stores, right? And it was just ridiculous. And I was loving life. And then I disappeared. They'd moved on from me, right? And the agent goes, "Oh, man, I'm so sorry that you lost that gig," and blah, 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 blah. It went to a female and all this sort of stuff. And to be honest, that actually, I had a similar sort of thought process to you, Simon, where I kind of went, do you know, I'm actually bloody grateful that I got that job in the first place, and it lasted for as long as it did. And I came up with a bit of a saying, which is like it's a common saying, and that is make hay while the sun shines. And when you've got those great gigs, it's fantastic, and you should enjoy them and not feel, you know, depressed and downtrodden when you lose it, because ultimately you are going to lose the job. Someone else will get the job. And when I got that job, I took it from somebody else. You know what I mean? And
That's correct.
And so the thing is, you go, well, it's just the way it works. And I think with what I do, you know, with casting and directing all day, every day with people such as yourself, Simon, it's like, it's pretty brutal, right? You know, I go, Simon Kennedy, he's our guy for this. I love him. He's brilliant. Then what happens? The client just goes, "Oh, we want a female," or you know, or you know, even something as simple as, say, I work with some artists that their avails aren't great, so it just gets to the point where I go, do you know what? I'm just going to have to move on from this person, and it's a split-second decision I make as a director, and I think it gives me an innate understanding as to how voice artists are chosen and not chosen, and all that sort of stuff, and I think. You just, as I said, you make hay while the sun shines. You know, if you've got a great gig, then awesome. But you know what? Tomorrow, and it's always, and you've been through this, I know, Simon, every artist has. You've been on a job for ages and you're watching TV and suddenly it's a different voice, because they don't tell you, right? They don't tell you that they've dropped you. You just don't get booked. And you go, well, I don't have that anymore. Okay, and it's a bit of a heartbreaking moment, but, you know, by the end of the ad, you've got to move on, you know, and 30 seconds later, you've got to move on and go, all right, well, something will happen around the corner, you know, and that's the life of a voice artist. It's like being an actor. Yeah. Don't call us, we'll call you, you know.
It's true. Excuse me. I used to be a voice on what was back then. It was called Playhouse Disney, and now it's Disney Junior. Yeah, it's Disney Junior now. And I was one of two monkeys that hosted and introed all the shows. It was Oo and Ah. Oo was the blue monkey, that was me, and Ah was the red monkey, and that was Matt Moore, who's a great actor and a director as well. I think Matt Moore has directed episodes of The Great with Nicholas Hoult. He's the guy from the UE commercials. He was always on the UE commercials, right?
That's so cool.
Yeah, so Matt was a great actor, good voice actor as well, and the two of us were the monkeys, and it was a fun job. Like, I was the blue monkey. I'm like, oh, it's time now for the Wiggles. It's going to be great. Let's watch the Wiggles. And that was a fun job. And I remember one day, I back when we used to get the weekend paper at our house, I opened up the paper and there was a full page ad, in the Herald or whatever it was, and it said, Playhouse Disney is now Disney Junior. And I looked at it all and I went, and I realized I hadn't had a booking for like a week or two from them, and which was not weird, but I went, and I kind of started Googling it. I went, I don't think I'm working for them anymore. It was
brutal.
Like, the monkey was sad.
Yeah. It is. It is. And from my point of view, you know, when I do get a regular artist for a regular job, you become really good mates with them, and you chat more than you do voiceovers most of the time, right? You sort of talk about, you know, what did you do on the weekend, and, you know, the kids and all that sort of stuff, and then suddenly that job will just go away. Like, for me, you know, I don't often recast a voice. I think voice is very much a part of the brand. So when I choose a voice, you'd have to take some convincing for me to change to another voice. You know, it'd have to be a specific reason. But what happens in my line of work is that client just stops. They don't book the production anymore. So consequently, I don't book the voice. And then, maybe 6 months later, I'll get that voice back in on a different job, and I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry about that. And you feel like you miss them, because I'm like, how are you kids? I haven't spoken to you for like 6 months, and it's even I, as a director, go, this is a bit sad. I don't get to work with that person again for a little while,
Yeah. I mean, I've made some great mates on the other side of the glass through doing TV promos, which I do probably is the lion's share of my work over the last, 15 years, I'd say, for TV. And and the producers, you see them every week, and it's great. And then I remember one point I think I had 6 or 7 channels going at once. Like I was on a lot of channels. It was really good. Like some of them were New Zealand and whatever. And it was, and then it stopped, and then I was just down to one channel, and I felt like all these workmates that, I guess it's like being sacked from a job at an office. You don't get to see your workmates anymore. It's a lonely job, voice, right? It's a lonely job. You're not only are you in a box by yourself, but then when you finish the job, you go away. You're on your own again. So it's but love it. I love it.
Yeah, it's magic. Have you got any other questions?
I was going to ask you too, though. For anyone that's listening at the moment, though, how would you become a more appealing candidate when you're going in for a casting session, though? Because I know you're a casting director, and obviously you're going into auditions all the time. What's some tips and tricks, though, that you apply to, or what really stands out for a candidate for you to go, boom, though they're looking really good, though, aside from whether or not they're right or wrong for the job?
Oh, wow. It's harder than it used to be, because if I was going for a job, if I was being considered for whether it be an animation or whatever it was, they'd get you in based on your demo. And then you go in there, and then you get to work with them, and you actually get to take some direction. And I love that part of it. I really love someone going, oh, I love what you've done there. Do you reckon we could, could he be a little bit younger or a little bit older or a little bit more snooty, and we play with that and do that. And I went, yeah, that's it. Now twist it like that. And you do that. We don't get that opportunity so much now, because auditions, which happen more than they used to, are now done in isolation at home, and you have to second guess everything that you think they want to hear, because you don't get feedback unless you did the right thing, and then they'll get you again.
It's very vulnerable.
And you don't know if you're giving them what they want to hear. So really what you've got to do is do what you want to do. You've got to do what you feel is right, what you think is entertaining, what you think is interesting. And I think that's all you can do. I mean, you can work on your craft and your skills, but in the end, I find that when I try and think about what type of thing they want to hear, it's probably when I give the worst performance, I reckon. Yeah, I reckon it's much better if I just go in and just let loose. And this is for animation particularly. But it's true of a lot of kind of work, like even commercial work. You're guessing the moments sometimes. I mean, I know working with Eddie, he'll say, that line here, can you give us a little bit of that on it? And I'm like, oh, okay, because I didn't read that into it, but yeah, let's do that. I can see how that would work. So I do that. So yeah, you're left only with your own instincts and your own guesswork. So I prefer the good old days where they say, come on in and dance for me.
Dance monkey dance, literally.
Yeah. I know. I used to be a monkey and dance. Yeah.
I helped out another artist here who's with Scout locally, and he was pitching for a job and he wanted to borrow my studio, and I said, no problems. And so he came in and he had the scripts. And he actually sort of played the devil, actually. It was it was kind of like he was a devil-type character. And he sat in the booth and he he gave his interpretation, and what I found from a director's point of view, because these are not my scripts, it's not my client, I'm literally just helping this guy out. And I sat there and I was like, dude, what does the writer want here? Like, what do we read between the lines? What does he want? What would work? And what do I reckon he wants? And you're trying to like pick up every little subtle nuance in the script to just find, I reckon he wants a joking devil, not an evil, devil, right? But we tried all different things, and I think, it was me just trying to. And I think as an artist, you've got to look through the script and read between all of the lines to try and find the personality and then deliver it. And I think, like you're saying, if you don't, even as a director, like if I asked for a pitch from yourself or whoever and you played it safe, you're not going to get the job. Whereas if you were wacky and out there but way off where I wanted to be, you probably are still a much higher chance of getting the job, because I'll go, bloody hell, that's the exact opposite of what I wanted. But he can do stuff. So I reckon I can push him around and force him into where I want him to go. Force him into it doesn't sound very nice, but I reckon I could. I reckon I could mould him to where I want to be, because I can hear that quality of performance, even though it's the wrong way. So I'd always want a performance to be wrong but out there than boring and trying to appeal to everybody, and you've smoothed off all the edges and made it utterly flat and dull, because then I'll be like, I don't like this guy. I'd rather people just go wacky and crazy.
Take a risk.
Take a risk.
Could I just put a point out, though, for even directors, though? What's really good is communication. I've been where Eddie is, where I've had to direct someone for an ad, and I'm like, yeah, I like where you're at. And like you were saying, to push them to get to where they need to go. I'm like, yeah, energy. We need more energy. And you're like trying to amp them up and things like that. That kind of feedback is really good for a voice actor, though, I assumed with you guys. So because getting no answer is just probably the worst, especially if you don't get the job. I think getting feedback is a really beautiful thing, because you're just, at the same time, you're just like, I feel really, I'm kind of stuck because I want to do what the director wants and be what they envision and everything. But at the same time, I've got to be myself and have my direction of what I think the character should be. So it's very much a double-edged sword with that situation. So having a lot of feedback from a director is actually a really big gift for any voice actor.
And I think,
feedback, yeah.
Simon, I know you probably have stories of working with directors that just don't give quality feedback, and you sit in the booth going, I don't know where to go.
Yeah. Oh God. One of the worst kind of directors, and I don't think I'm a very good director.
Yeah.
Like I actually don't think I'm a good director, because I want to be in the booth myself. Like that's the worst. That is the worst kind of director who can't detach themselves from being that. And I have worked with people in the past, and their direction is literally, no, do it more like this, and then they do it. And you're like, you just want to do this yourself. You don't want someone else. Like you don't want to find out what this actor's capable of. You just want to make them a version of you, but you didn't get the job. So why don't you just let them be them? I think that's the worst kind of direction, is where they try and not let you be you, try and make you something that you aren't. And that's one of those things where you go, I think you booked the wrong person here. Like I have been in sessions where I'm like, you don't want me. I don't know why you're doing this. Like you want someone else. I can tell. And it's like, if you made a mistake or something, but yeah, I think that's the worst. I think that some of the best feedback I've ever gotten is take some risks now. Just don't be afraid of stuffing it up. Just do something, surprise me, because that's when your personality comes out. That's when you come out. And I think that's the thing these days with the record at home and send off the audition sort of world we're living in. And it was Debbie Derryberry who played Jimmy Neutron. She did one of the first webinars for AVA members.
Oh wow!
About nailing nailing that audition. And some of the best advice she had, and I knew it in my head already, but hearing her say it, she's like, don't just give them the script. Give them something else, and like literally give them some pre-life to that script, where it's you being whatever that character is, and then you go into the script, because that thing that you do just before you start the script could be the thing that they hear the character in. Or your version of the character in. And I think that whether you're doing something off script or something, I think that can be your biggest, I think it can be your biggest win, because, they know you can read the script. They're hearing you read the script, but they didn't know you could do that, or you could be that, because that wasn't written in the script. So
it's more like a soul match for the character opposed to the capabilities of the voice actor with range. So
yeah,
for authenticity.
Totally. And good directors and good writers don't mind people experimenting, right? My kids are both actors, like they're screen actors, and they audition for a lot of stuff. And sometimes and often you'll see it say, this is a script. If you think of something else, just go with it. If you think of something that's off script, just do it. And that's really great, especially for kids, because then they don't feel so worried they're going to stuff up. But I think that's true for adults too, quite frankly.
That sounds like a kid in a candy store situation, because you get to have some fun. And that's the whole point in being a voice actor, is to actually have some fun with your job. Though otherwise you're just going to be miserable reading lines off of page, and there's no heart or soul to it. And I really like talking to voice actors about that, though, where it's just, how do you convey that soul to an audience? Like we had Billy West, though, where we were talking about Futurama, and we were talking about a dog in one of the episodes where I was bawling my eyes out like a baby. I'm just like, it's a dog, Lo, for this whole episode. But it's just got so much you can connect with. And I think that's what makes the difference between an average cartoon or animation to something where it's memorable, where people are really engaged. And that's what you want, whether it's advertising or like a performance piece. You want people engaged.
Yeah, I did a smallish part for an animated feature based on the Alice Miranda books, which a lot of young girls read, sort of tween books, Alice Miranda, Australian kids books. And I played this character called Mr. Grump. And Mr. Grump is engaging with Alice Miranda. He feels like a homeless guy, and he lives up in the hills. And she's like, "What are you doing here?" And he tells her this story about, how he used to have a daughter her age, and but she got sick, and then she never woke up, and it was a really sad little piece. And I could, but it was one of those moments where I'm like, yeah, I could just do this as a voice actor. Or I could, as a voice artist, or I could do it as a voice actor and really embody it. And it was one of those rare times where I was in the booth doing the thing, really being the character, and it meant something to me. And it was the moments I didn't go off script, but it was the thoughts that I had between the lines that I think made the performance really work. And I mean, when my son, who's now 15, was a baby, he got really, really, really sick in a hospital in Hong Kong, and we almost lost him. And I was like thinking about that. And I got to say, there aren't many voice acting jobs where I've thought about those tender life moments. But what I did, and I at the end of the take, I was a little bit teary, quite frankly. But then I watch it back, and I can sort of hear those thoughts in that performance, and that is what's kind of missing from a lot of performance, I think, in voice. When we do an average or passable or whatever performance, we're sometimes forgetting to bring our own self into it. And when you do, it can really count. It can really, really count to what you do, and that can be just as true of a superannuation commercial, really.
Yeah. Well, it can. I mean, sometimes you need ultimate subtlety, and you need those feelings. I think, you talk about directing. And as you were talking about directing, I'm like, God, I hope I'm not that bad director that wants to be the voiceover artist in the booth. But I mean, I'm guilty of. I'm guilty of, you know, because I'm very specific. I know what I want. And I know every artist that I work with. I know where I can sort of push them, but I'm very mindful. I hate having parroted lines to me as an artist, and so I will go very much to try not to ever parrot lines. Like if I am trying to parrot a line for inflection, I'll say, instead of saying, you know, blah, 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 Aardvark Plumbing, I'll just go, that client name or something like that. You know, I'll never read the line word for word because I know then that's genuinely parroting. And I'll often say to you guys, like, I think the thoughts behind the line is this. You know, or, that sort of stuff. Because, and mostly when I'm dealing with actors like yourself, who are genuine actual actors, you know, you call yourself a voiceover artist, but you are an actor, right? And 90% of the people I work with are actors, you know, so you don't want to say inflect up here, full stop there, you're angry there, happy there. You go, no, I think you're really sad because, you know, at this moment in time you've lost, you know, that, or, you know, you want to find something, or I'm trying to put them in a scenario rather than tell them what to say and then let them do it.
I think you do. I think you're a good director.
Oh,
really. I really do.
Goodness for that.
But it's also sometimes what we mean. We say inflection, but what we mean is a feeling.
Yeah.
And sometimes that feeling is often typically annotated by an inflection.
Yeah.
But and so some directors will say, just give me an upward inflection there.
Yeah.
But you know, like I say, but if you can, I mean, we don't always have time to dig deeply into it for a used car commercial, do we? But I mean, you know, I just want you'd be a little bit surprised there. I want that to have a little feeling of surprise.
Yeah.
Which is a nice way of saying, could you give me an upward inflection at the end?
Yeah. Or you know what I say with my little up-and-coming artists that I work with is, you know, if it's a bog standard retail car commercial or something like that, which, you know, anyone can sort of read effectively, right? I say, no, don't sell it to me. I go, I want you to be like, when you get to the price of the car, I want you to be like surprised, pleasantly surprised and amazed that it's so cheap. And I want you to tell me about it because you can't help but tell me about it because it's such a great deal. You know, I'd say that to the artist rather than, what do I have to do to sell you this car today? You know, I don't want any of that. I just go, no, I want you to be that genuine surprise. And then it comes across far more authentic and far less retail or, you know, salesy, you know, and I think, and it's just a different way of thinking about it rather than, you know, hitting the hard sell button and just going for it.
Yeah, I mean, because quite frankly, $29,990 is a good price.
That's it.
That's what you want.
Yeah, exactly. Rather than sort of, that $29,990. You know, no one really cares.
Drive away. No more to pay. Okay.
So I just watched Ooh and Ah and You. So it's sweet. I really want to show this to my little boy. So from discussing another great children's show like which was Bluey, with a previous guest, Dan Brum, who plays Uncle Stripe, I get the feeling kids shows are an absolute blast to work on because they're just relaxed, silly. There's a lot of relaxed silliness to it. Have you found children's shows more enjoyable to work on rather than advertisements?
Yeah, look, animation is my happy place. It really is. I grew up, I probably got into voicey business. I liked radio, but Saturday morning cartoons were my thing, and I loved it. When I used to go to primary school as like a 8-year-old, and you know, try out my Bugs Bunny on everyone. Like, you know, I'd walk around St. Anthony's primary school schoolyard, you know, going up to kids going, yeah, what's up, Doc? Hey, it's time for little lunch. I loved it. And that was my first thing, was doing Warner Brothers characters for my mates. And so I love it. And I always wanted to be one of those tentpole characters. I always wanted the chance to do that. I know I had Keith Scott on this podcast, and Keith was a blast. He's a legend. And I remember being like 12 and knowing about Keith Scott being like the Australasian voice for the Warner Brothers characters. I'm like, I could do that. And I was 12. I love it. I really love it. And I've had. I wish there were more opportunities to work on long running animations in Australia, because the ones I've worked on, I've had such a good time.
Your eyes really lit up when you were telling that story. You're just like, oh, this is so great. I wish they had more as well, though, like more animations in Australia, though. So if there's anyone out there in the marketing world, though, that wants to bring them to Australia, please bring them to Australia. We want this.
Yeah. Well, one of the best jobs I've ever had was for SLR, a great Australian animation production company, and it was called Teenage Fairy Tale Dropouts.
Yes.
And then I think in other markets it might have been called Awesome Magical Tales, I think. That was one of the funnest jobs ever, because it was the closest I got to being Hank Azaria, because I was like a lead character, but then I got to do all of those like ancillary characters. Like we need a little cranky New Yorker three little pigs character. So that was like, all right. I'm like, okay, what about, hey, I could blow the house down, like, and they're like, yeah, that's good, and we could do all that. Oh my god, it was so much fun.
Oh, that sounds so cool.
Yeah, that pig voice gets you. That was a fun gig, and I wish there was more of that, where you get to really spread your wings and try out all your funny little voices and do all your funny little things. There's so much. Oh my god, I loved it.
So, in honour of your lovely name, we're going to test your voice skills and play a game called Simon Says. So,
yeah,
I'm going to name a category or a franchise or cartoon that you can do a voice character or an impression that applies to the situation. The aim of the game is just to make the best impression, and the best impression wins. It seems easy enough, right?
Geez. Oh yeah! Oh, now pressure's on. Woo!
Yeah,
it is indeed. Yeah, this is a lot of fun.
It's time to shine. So Disney.
Oh, okay. Oh God, it's a wide genre. Okay. Oh, well, I guess that would be Pixar as well, right?
Yeah, I'll allow Pixar.
Yeah, okay. What about, what was it? I've just gone blank. Oh, Rex from Toy Story.
Yeah.
What about T-Rex, who I think might have been Wallace Shaw. I think maybe did the, so Woody, why do I... What I'm trying to think of what I have to say here now.
I got these little arms.
Hey, Woody, you got these little arms here. I can't see what I'm doing. Despicable. Wasn't the best, but I'll go with it.
There you go. That was very good.
Well, I'm going to join you on that with the Toy Story, like just picking a random Pixar movie then. So I'm going to pick I'm Tour-Guard Barbie. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Please leave all popcorn wrappers in the trash compartment. Goodbye. Goodbye. Is everybody gone? Can I stop smiling? Thank goodness. My cheeks hurt. I need to take a little break. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Oh, nice. That's nice. I feel like I'm going to pull my string now and be like, hey, look at me. I'm Big Toy on campus. Oh, no.
That was good. Can you do an animal?
Just an animal?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, right now I'm thinking of my hairless cat who's out in the other room. But I would go for, see, the hairless cats don't sound like a regular cat, which is like a, she's more like, that's what you get with a hairless cat.
It's like The Simpsons.
Help me. Sometimes I think the cat's talking. She goes, hello, hello, like hello, hello. That's our cat.
I don't have any hair.
Voices for animals, voices for your own pets is bloody hilarious though, because I mean I've got this stupid dog that falls off the couch. He's a complete idiot, and whenever I walk into the room, I'm like, "Hello, hello. That's the way he says hello to you, because he's just like so confused all the time. He's like, oh, hello.
It's funny, yeah. We don't give Edna the hairless cat her own voice though. I probably should, but I think she'd be like, what? It'd be very
yeah. It's funny, but you know what? See, there's a rich playground there of ways that you can come up with crazy voices by yourself, because your own pet has got this. They've all got a very distinct personality, right? And so you can give them a voice, and you can, and it's a fun playground, I think. So there you go.
Yeah.
I like that. That's very good, because I don't do very many. I'm not a voice guy, right? So when you do this, I'm just like, no, I'm out.
That's my jam.
Yeah. There we go. And you're better at it than me. So there you go.
Shucks. I think I'll keep you around for my own ego.
Okay, great. What do you got next?
Yeah, so I'm going to do a dog, though. Like, I'm channeling my brother's dog, Benji. He's just hypo, so he's like, hello, cover the ball. Oh, my God, there's the ball.
Now, because I just impersonated my cat, I didn't realise that you actually wanted me to give her a voice now.
Give it a crack.
If I gave a cat, maybe I'd go for a male cat, though.
Yeah.
Because one thing about cats is you walk in the room, they don't run to you like a dog does, right?
Yeah.
Like a dog will run up and go, hey, what's going? You're here. You're still alive. You're still alive. I thought you were dead. Cats will walk in, they look and you go, yeah. Well, you're left without food. Thanks.
That's perfect.
Yeah. Which is great.
It's great. Cats love us. So the next one's Simpsons. Do you have any Simpsons voices?
Oh, gee. Well, let me think for a moment. Oh, my God, this is one of the worst things I've ever done. Yeah, I'm taking this thing to Mexico.
Yeah,
that's so good. I can do tone.
I've watched a lot.
Yeah.
I love learning and practicing, kind of like what you were saying as a little kid, just for the imitation. And obviously I don't have the range for some of the male characters for The Simpsons, but I always, whenever we've got a box of donuts at home, I'm just like, donuts, I get donuts. Hey, I know you.
That's good. Wiggum. Actually, as a Kennedy, I really enjoyed Mayor Quimby, because he's pretty much based on JFK.
Yeah.
So that was always, this woman is not my wife.
If I'm looking for more high pitch, I can probably do Ralph, like, me foul English? That's impossible. That was a bit rough. So
you sound like you sound like one of the Flanders kids there, I reckon.
I got the joy down in my heart. Where down in my heart? Where down in my heart?
Well, that's enough singly-dingly-doo there, Roddentot.
So let's do celebrity. Who you got for me?
Oh, look, I mean, since we're the current environment we live in, I don't know if I don't think anybody can go past doing that guy. He's probably one of the greatest, I'd say, of all the impersonations I've ever done. This one would be pretty good. A lot of people out back are telling me it's good. A lot of people, some disgusting women. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good.
I had to say horrible things, but actually, one I used to enjoy doing as a young guy, because I'm also a stand-up comedian, and one of my biggest influences when I was young was a Scottish fellow. I'm sure you've all seen him on stage at some point or another, doing some dirty jokes and stuff like that. A lot of talking about different things. But I used to enjoy doing that a lot.
Billy's fantastic.
Yeah, that's great.
I can do, in the current climate, I guess we're talking about the lovely Donald J. Trump, which is a perfect necessity in that impersonations world. So I'm going to do another politician. So I will not be lectured about misogyny by that man. He's a misogynist. He talks about women. He's very they're disposable. I will not be lectured by that man about misogyny.
That's good. You got the nasal. You got the little quiver in there.
Yeah.
The little, I think that's great.
It reminds me of Blinky Bill, like the kind of.
Well,
to
I
it.
could do the man that you're talking about, perhaps.
Yeah.
Who I believe was Tony Abbott, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, you do Tony,
Yeah.
I'll do you, Julia.
I haven't done this one for a little while.
Yeah.
Oh, go eat an onion.
Oh, that's it. No. No.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's brilliant.
So I'm tapping out. That was just too good. Like, I think we've got to hand it to you. You've won it with Tony. These days, that seems like the only thing he's won.
Tony, Simon Kennedy gets booked for Tony at least 3 times a week, don't you, buddy?
Yeah, I did one once.
Yeah.
I did a Tony Abbott once. It wasn't popular.
So our next little fun little activity. So to end this podcast, we have a challenge for all our guests. So you know the whole Inner World trailer narration.
Yeah.
He came from a place,
Exactly, and
from a
he's got
time far away.
this summer.
This summer.
So our challenge to you is we want you to do a trailer narration about this interview. So it could be in a funny voice or imitating the serious stereotypical Inner World voice. But we want you to have fun here. So like the sky's the limit.
Right, yeah, because here's the thing, right? I mean, when I started radio school, there were guys with really big voices. And I'm like, I wish I had a big voice like those guys, but I didn't. You got to be who you are. So, I mean, if I was doing it in my own trailer read voice, it would just be my, in a world of pure audio, one man and another man and a woman talk about talking. Like that would be me doing me in my,
That was really good.
it's a story about the last days of Adolf Hitler, that sort of thing. But
It's like the Max ads you did.
Yeah, Music Max, Code Chisel, that sort of thing. It's all very rock and roll, very Triple M. But I think that maybe if there is one voice for this generation, it would be that guy we were talking about. And it'd be in a world, a great world, a wonderful world, a world that I created. One man and another man and a woman talk about podcasting. They talk podcasting. They talk about a lot of great things, a lot of people talking against the odds. And they talk about voice acting and the power of the human voice, because I got a great voice, a lot of people say. Eddie Bai and Rachel Salo is a very beautiful woman, by the way. And Simon Kennedy, the failing Simon Kennedy, in this must-listen podcast of the year. It's going to be epic. It's going to be as big as my birthday party. It's going to be huge. Coming soon to an ear hole near you. It's going to be great.
Brilliant.
That's our promo.
There you go. Love it.
That was perfection.
In a world. Yeah.
So
I always wished I had that guy's voice. Don LaFontaine. What a
yes.
yeah. Simon Kennedy, that was absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thank you for having me. I feel like I've been had.
You have. Thank you for listening to This Is My Voice, the podcast about all things voice performance with the world's best voice artists. If you like what you heard, feel free to leave a review and don't forget to subscribe. This episode has been brought to you by the Australian Radio School and delivered to your ears by the Ozcast Network.